Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today I'm going to be discussing the topic of side characters within LEGO Ninjago, and I specifically wanted to discuss this because of Benthamar in Seabound, because I really enjoyed his character and would absolutely love to see him return within the series in a large role once again, but unfortunately I don't really know if that's going to wind up happening, so I wanted to kind of discuss that today, just sort of how Ninjago handles their side characters, and just kind of go through some of them, some examples that I'll provide, and kind of give my own thoughts and opinions on how I think they should proceed going forward. So without further ado, let's get straight into it here. So basically, starting off here, let's talk about Benthamar, since he's the one that I mentioned, of course, the most recent main side character here. And just to let you know, I won't be touching on villains or anyone of that sort, but I want to kind of talk about, so basically with Benthamar, of course, he was a fantastic character in Seabound, and of course the arc that they put him on of course avenging his father basically against Kalmar and defeating him, and of course they did wind up resolving that. I think Ninjago does do a great job at introducing these side characters, making them very compelling, building up their goal throughout the season, and then by the conclusion of it having them complete their goal. So it's definitely a well done sort of trend that Ninjago does do. However, I feel like there are opportunities for some of these characters to return in the future of the series, such as Benthamar. I think there's a lot that he could do, and the ninja kind of welcomed him in to their group. Now, of course, I don't know what the future of the series is going to be in 2022. For all I know, he could wind up rejoining the team or in some sort of sense be a part of the show in the newer seasons. Of course, we've seen that with characters. Another example I'll give is Vanya, of course, the main sort of side character within Master of the Mountain, and of course we got to see her have a minor role in Seabound as well, and even returning to that location as well of Shintaro, which was just so cool to see. And I really love that as well, because most of the time these side characters are connected to a specific location, so whenever we get to see them return or us return to them, then we get to revisit these cool locations, and it kind of just makes everything feel very connected. I think Ninjago does a fantastic job of building up their lore and showing us different parts of Ninjago, different locations, everything like that, but I feel like we kind of wind up forgetting about most of them after we conclude that given season, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I think that there are negatives and positives to this. I would say some of the positives are that if you don't like a character, let's say for some reason you're not a fan of Benthamar or Vanya or someone like that, then you're most likely not going to wind up seeing them again as a main sort of side character. I know that's kind of contradictory to say main side character, but you understand what I mean, and I think that that can kind of be an advantage there. But the disadvantage is if you really get to like this character, then when you conclude that season, it's kind of bittersweet, because you're glad to see that the majority of the time they have achieved their goal and now they feel more at peace, but at the same time you want to get to see them continue on their journey. And I think they do a good job too of kind of giving a new sort of dynamic to the ninja team, I would say, because of course we're very used to how the ninja team is now, and I actually did a video separately discussing this, kind of the shake up of the ninja team now that Nia's kind of absent from it. So if you want to check that out, I'll try to remember to link it at the end. But basically I think that they can add a really nice new sort of fresh air to the series, if that makes any sense. But I definitely think Vanya and Benthamar, of course, two of the most recent examples there, but other characters as well. Okino, Racer 7, I know those two were from Prime Empire, but now of course they're within the real world of Ninjago, so characters like that as well I'd love to see. Of course, Akita's another really big one, so she would be fantastic to see get a return for the series. So there's definitely quite a few where I think that they could definitely have a role and fit into a new storyline as well, because of course you're not limited to only doing one storyline with these characters. And don't get me wrong, once again I want to make it clear that I don't think the way they're doing it now is incorrect by any means. I just feel like we could see more from these characters. Take someone like Dareth. He kind of started off as more of a side character, and arguably of course he is still a side character, but he's more of a relevant one who shows up more often than most would. Even recent ones like Antonia and Nelson as well, they've even had their own sort of central episodes as well to tie into the story. I think that something like that could be really interesting to explore. Another group that I just remembered off the top of my head was the Upley as well from Master of the Mountain. Those were such great characters, and I really feel like we didn't get to see a ton from them. Of course, outside of that, we didn't really get to see anything from them, but I definitely think that kind of expanding upon those stories can kind of open up the world of Ninjago, and I don't even think it has to necessarily be within the actual core series as well. Of course, that's kind of what I'm specifically talking about now, but I think there's other opportunities as well. Take the reimagined shorts. I think that there's things you can do with those as well, or even spin-off series as well. Now, I don't think I'd want a full-on spin-off series. That doesn't really work out too well the majority of the time, I would say. Of course, it can work in some instances for specific shows, but I don't want to see something like an Upley show. Not saying that would be bad, obviously. I think that it could definitely have potential, but I think just giving them a short or maybe giving them a small series or something, I think that could be really cool to kind of explore their characters and have them independent from the ninja as well. Because of course, whenever these characters are joining the ninja on their journey, at the end of the day, it's to accomplish the ninja's main goal. Of course, they might have a goal in common, of course, and that's why they're working together, but it's still primarily the ninja's journey. So I kind of want to get to see these characters take their own journey. And another group that I'll mention before we kind of wrap this up here is, of course, all of the Elemental Masters. I think they did a great job with those because, of course, introduced within the tournament development, and then we got to see them return at specific points. Specifically, I would say like Hunted, of course. We got to see some of them have a larger role in that, specifically Skylar as well, who I did speak about in another video also of her potentially returning. So just instances like that, I think that they can really utilize those characters to a higher degree. But I think that's all I have to say about this topic here. I'm really curious to hear all of your opinions on side characters within Ninjago. Which ones specifically would you like to see kind of get more screen time in future seasons or see them return to Ninjago? Because I know there's quite a few that I would like to see, and I might even do a separate video on that. You can kind of see this wasn't like a ranking video of my top characters that I'd like to see return to the series. So that could be something separately I could do in the future if you guys would like to wind up seeing that. But thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like down below. Also subscribe as well if you would like to check out some of my other content. That would be highly appreciated. So thanks so much. I'll see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.